You're listening to the Habs Banter podcast. This podcast is brought to you by all Habs and features co-hosts Corey Desormeaux and Marc Lescoutre. Okay, what's up, peeps? I think we're episode 6 now. Are we episode 6 now?
We're episode 6.
Episode 6 of the Habs Banter. No guests today, which is feeling a little bit weird because I feel like, as you were saying before we started recording, it's like guests has become our thing.
Yep.
But it's something we'll continue. So if you ever want to be on, hit us up, and we'll see what we can do.
Yep.
So don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube. You could subscribe to the audio on iTunes. You can always find us at allhabs.net under the multimedia tab. Apparently, I'm having a really hard time speaking
the
today.
The struggle is real right now, man.
So just tell me about your week, please.
Oh, just changing up.
Yeah,
put it all on me. So
just take the lead, please.
All right, man. Well, March Madness started, which means my bracket is already done.
Yeah.
Round 1, so I had Michigan State to take it all.
So did I.
Man, sucks. I mean, I'm not really that invested in it, but whatever. It still sucks.
I'm still second in my pool right now.
That's sick. I had the first night. I got 14 out of the 16 games right. And I was like, yeah. I was like,
you're like, I'm the best. I know.
So I was like, I'm killing it this year. Like, should have put money on it. Like, honestly, I should have put imagine I picked 10 of those games as what do they call it when you got to get that thing.
What?
Nailed it. I'm gonna look it up, and when I finish producing this episode, I'm just gonna put the word I'm looking for up on the screen, so all those people out there who think I'm an idiot for not knowing what this is, they'll know what I'm talking about. Okay. So I'll have to do that later. God, struggle is real. Beyond that, threw a little surprise party for my co-host with the help of his wife last week. For those of you who don't know, it was a diaper party because this guy's expecting his first little one. So it was supposed to be a surprise. It almost got ruined on numerous occasions. And it made it all the way till the Friday night before. And buddy on Corey's hockey team was just like, hey man, sorry I can't make it to your diaper thing tomorrow. And there it was. Which is, at least it worked out for you because you got to carpool in the end.
Yeah, I actually ended up getting a ride from somebody who was going.
There you go.
Like, wow, the surprise is ruined, I guess.
Yeah.
So Mark and I, it was really, really nice actually. All my good buds came and we brought diapers, so I'm now well prepared. But we met at a pub downtown for some wings. Mark and I were going to watch the Habs game, which, we meet up every once in a while and do, so I didn't really think anything of it. Until I got a T-bomb Friday night being like, sorry, I can't make it, bud. And then I was like, oh, I guess there's other people coming. But then I didn't want to, ruin it for you because I know you had put some time, obviously, into, with Chanel, planning this thing.
Yeah. For the record, it was really Corey's wife did all the hard work. I just put a message on Facebook. That's pretty much it.
So I didn't want to ruin your hopes and, all your work and stuff. So I didn't have, the heart to text you throughout the day to be like, I know. So you were texting me throughout the day, being like, "Hey man, still good for tonight." I'm like, "Yeah, bro, can't wait." And you're like, "I'm gonna be a little bit late." I'm like, "Cool, I'm gonna be right on time
with someone else."
But I didn't want to.
Man, so funny.
It was good.
Yeah, good.
And speaking of diapers, we Chanel and I actually babysat. We have some friends of ours have an 8-week-old. I was like, "Oh, great! let's." This was actually the night of the diaper party. So I was like, okay, he came over around 4 o'clock. I wasn't leaving until around 7, so I had 3 hours with the little guy. Really cute kid. Comes over, and I'm so inexperienced with babies. You have no idea. I'm just it's so foreign to me. Anyway, I better start getting used to it, right? So I'm holding the little guy. We're just chilling on the couch. And he just starts ripping them. He is just, giving her, man. And loud, too. I had no idea that babies could, when they're crapping themselves, were that loud. You know what I mean? So I'm like, okay, whatever. Let's change them. So I throw them on the changing pad, because we have all this stuff now. Throw them on the changing pad, open them up, and there's crap everywhere. I'm like, okay, like let's just like take, you know what I mean, like one step at a time here. Like close the old diaper up, start like using the wipes. I'm cleaning them up and stuff. Go to get some diaper cream just so like he doesn't get a rash and stuff, right? So I'm holding his legs up. As I'm holding his legs up, I turn to go to the diaper cream. All of a sudden, I hear something like hitting my wall. So I turn back and he's peeing. He's like,
that's devastating.
Dude, it's like all over the wall, all over our baseboards. It was like all over his face, the poor kid.
Dude.
Right? So now I'm like, oh my gosh, no! So I'm cleaning him up. I'm like, shut out, like you have to go. Like
911 emergency, 911 emergency.
Towel, like yes, right. So I'm like just worrying about him because I'm like, whatever, I'll get the wall later. So I get him
I'll get the wall later.
I get him all cleaned up or whatever. I start holding him over the sink so I can like kind of like clean his like back and stuff because he's peed everywhere.
Man, that's devastating.
I get him in his new onesie. I pick him up and he vomits all over me. All over me. And I was like, not that I was super concerned, but like I was going out that night with you guys, right? Yeah. So I had like a Lacoste sweater on. He just like vomits like all over me. It was so. I was like, you know what? I just sat him down afterwards after we got him, and I was like holding him after, and I was like, you know what, man? Thanks for prepping me for what my life is about to become.
Yeah, that sucked for however long it took. Soon it's going to be like every day.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
Sweet.
And then anyway, I went to the game last night too, which we got pumped by the Senators.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That's rough.
I had a good evening out, obviously. Like, it was fun going to the game. We had really good seats, so it was like nice to see. Like, I always like going to the game because it's like you get to see the speed of the game a little more, especially when you sit in different areas of the rink. But I was really looking forward to having Golden Palace egg rolls. And I know you said that you've never had these things, but if you're from Ottawa, you need to know what Golden Palace egg rolls are. And I feel like they're famous, and for some reason you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
But I was really looking forward to having them because they have a stand at the Canadian Tire Center where you can get Golden Palace egg rolls. So I'm like, I'm going to smash so many Golden Palace egg rolls. But then when they started getting pumped, I'm like, I can't because I don't want my mood to ruin good food. You know how some people like to eat like junky food when they're feeling crappy and it makes them feel better? Me, I'm like, no, I'm just scared that it's going to ruin
good food.
Good food for me.
Yeah,
that's how I feel.
So that's when you have like when you're sad, do you do like a kale salad or
just like give me
fire up some quinoa with feta cheese in it or what?
That's good, by the way. But just give me all the broccoli and cauliflower.
Okay, that's fair.
So you want to play What's That Word again? Because
we don't have snacks. I'm pretty sure I still have half that bottle of that vegetable juice in my fridge, which it's not like it's not good to drink anymore. I don't think. Maybe it's fermenting. I don't know.
I feel like that's well over expired at this point.
Anyways, on that note, I guess I'll be taking out the trash after we record this episode. Yeah. So let's do What's That Word? I'll fire you my word first.
Okay. I'm kind of nervous.
Are you?
It's been a week. It could be a couple weeks.
It's been a few weeks. Yeah. All right. So my word for you is broget it. Broget it. BROGETIT. So bro get it.
Bro get it. Bro get it.
Yeah.
This is a really hard one.
Kind of a compound word, I guess you could say.
Don't complicate things. Just bro get it.
Yeah.
Bro get it. I'm really stumped.
Are you just gonna keep saying it and hope you get it, or?
Wow.
Such shade.
Okay, sorry, I'll just throw something out there. Okay. I feel like bro get it is like when you're trying to explain a story to your bro.
Okay.
You're trying to explain a story to your bro, and he's just not getting it. And it's something that your bro should know. Like, it could be like a story, like, it could be like you and I, the first time we met, we know that story.
Right.
So when people are like, oh, when did you guys meet? And I'm like, well, actually, we're having this chat at, like, uni, and we were going on and on about whatever, and we were just chatting about it.
Yeah.
It's like, you, as a bro, need to know what we were talking about.
Yeah. You would hope that I wouldn't bro get it.
And if you don't know, I'm like, bro, why don't you bro get it? I don't know. I don't know. Clearly I'm way off.
Yeah. Well, sort of. You were on the right track. If I didn't know, it would be like if I bro got it.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
officially, you're on the right track. You're not quite there though.
Just hit me with the
So
good.
it's when your bro says or does something dumb, but you're willing to forget it. You're like, forget it, man.
Okay,
So you
that's
were
good.
close though. You're on the
Okay,
same
no,
like.
not really. I don't think I'm close at all.
All right, fair.
But I thought it was pretty good. Okay,
Excellent.
I like expanding our vocabulary.
Yeah, I guess you could
That's
say
what I
that.
really love about this game.
It's really
Okay.
the best thing about this game, yeah, for sure.
Okay, bro, get it. Dot watching.
Dot watching?
Yeah.
Dot watching. I mean, the first thing that popped into my mind is when you have like a red laser thing and a cat, and like you're making the cat chase after it,
Okay.
and then maybe you fire up the laser dot into a dark room.
Let me stop you right there.
Am I way
It
off?
is. It is the desperately intense observation of your smartphone screen message thread, as you wait and hope for a reply from someone you are romantically engaged with. You know when those three little dots come up on your iPhone?
Oh yeah.
Dot watching.
Yeah, I wasn't even close.
You know what? I feel like it's getting harder and harder to find funny words because it's like they're all so inappropriate.
Oh man, I was actually gonna say that because I have to go through pages and pages on.
It takes.
And it's like some of those things. Like, I mean, yeah, sometimes I laugh at them, but I would never ever say these things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like it's funny on the inside, but you don't actually want to say it out loud. Certainly not on a show like this, where we like to try to keep it family friendly. We've succeeded for the most part.
Anyway, let's get into some hockey because I feel like there's not. The Habs are so bad that I feel like there's really not that much to talk about other than like crappy things. So
I think we can find one. We might be able to find one good thing to talk about, and that is Alex Galchenyuk finally playing center. We kind of started in the last few weeks. I think he had his first game at center right before our last episode, and now it's been a bit longer. Obviously killing it with a bunch of 2-goal games. Not quite as hot, but still solid in the last 5 with 3 goals and 1 assist. What are your general thoughts, other than he's awesome?
So since the trade deadline, he is leading the team in goals for per 60. His goal for per 60 is almost at 3. It's like 2.84. There's only 2 other forwards that are over 1. To put things into perspective, and that's one of them's Gallagher, who's hurt.
Yeah.
So he only played a couple of games after the deadline, so that's why his goals per 60 is a little bit higher. And Torrey Mitchell.
Wow, that's surprising.
Since the trade deadline, which is a little crazy.
That's surprising, yeah.
Their Corsi percentage is through the roof. That line, they're hovering around like 70%. They're crushing it, man. Like that line.
Yeah.
Other than last night where everybody, other than Saturday night against the Sens, everybody struggled.
Yeah. No, that was a rough one.
Galchenyuk's just been so fun to watch. And like, how do you feel about Michel Therrien and Marc Bergevin saying that he wasn't the player he is now?
Like,
you believe that?
I don't believe it for a second, to be honest. He just wasn't, like, he was on such a short leash at center earlier in the season. And he just wasn't given, like, even though when he looked like he was doing the right things on the ice, he was playing, like, third-line minutes at center. And just, I don't know, when that was kind of at the same time, too, when Desormeaux was, like, playing top-line minutes and not producing, and at the same time, Therrien saying, "Oh well, you know, I look at Desormeaux and I see like him in the right role, but Galchenyuk needs to work on things and whatever." But like, I don't know. It was a long time coming for him to get this chance with Pacioretty and Gallagher too. And unfortunately, Gallagher got hurt soon after they started playing together. But it's just, I really think if Galchenyuk was playing center on the top line for most of this year, things would be at least a little different. I'm not saying it changes the season drastically, but I think a lot more positive outcomes and the different, like a few extra points here or there for sure.
Right. Was I mad? Was I mad when Galchenyuk got pulled from center and moved to the wing? Yes. Do I think that moving him to the wing motivated him? Yes. Was he shooting as often as he is now? No. Did he look as confident as he does now? Hell no. One thing, and I mean the broadcast keeps talking about this too, so I'm not going to like totally dive into it. But one thing that they talked about was the team wanting Galchenyuk to shoot more
Yeah,
and to not hesitate and carry the puck too long. And he's not doing that anymore.
that's true.
Even his passes are smarter. Like if moving him to the wing for a bit was what needed to happen, fine. But do I think Galchenyuk wasn't the player he is now when he was playing center at the start of the year? I think somewhat. I actually kind of somewhat think that. Would it have been helpful for him to work through those kinks at the position? Yeah, I think
that's where I think definitely.
I think they waited far too long to move him back there. Like this slump's been going on far too long, and I think Marc Bergevin and I think Michel Therrien are using this as an excuse. I think it's garbage because I think that slump was going on far too long to leave your most skilled player away from your most prolific goal scorer in Pacioretty.
Absolutely.
And I mean, Pacioretty, people are talking about how he's not scoring goals with Galchenyuk, but his production's going up per game.
Yeah.
It's not like he's not involved in the play and addition. Like, I don't care if that line's scoring. I don't care who's scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
Why? Like, I really just don't care. You know what I mean? I think it's interesting that Galchenyuk's leading the team in goals now.
Yep.
And he's not going to keep up the pace that he's scoring at, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, how do you move him? How do you move him away from center now?
Yeah. I don't think you can. And it's wild because at one point Therrien said, Galchenyuk needs to keep up this consistency or keep up this production to stay at center. But that was when he had like 9 goals in 8 games or something like that. Like, you're actually seriously saying he needs to keep up that pace?
It's already setting the table to move him away.
Yeah, exactly. With Pacioretty not scoring goals, the guy doesn't put up a lot of assists unless he's playing with Galchenyuk. Like, the guy never plays. Like, if he's playing with Desormeaux, he's not going to be getting any assists. He's not going to be setting up Desormeaux for anything. No. So having like 2 valid goal scoring threats, and even Andrighetto has played all right. Like, I wouldn't peg him as a number one, like a first line winger by any stretch of the imagination, but as someone to plug in there for a short time, like I'm okay with it.
To me, I actually think, like, I don't know if he's a first line guy, but to me, he's definitely a top 6 forward for us. Like, and I'm fine with him. I mean, we'll get into this a little later, but I'm fine with him going into next year playing the top 6 role, especially if it's behind a Gallagher.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I like how Pacioretty plays with Galchenyuk. They look like they have chemistry. I don't know where this whole like they don't have chemistry thing came from.
Yeah, I don't really buy it.
Yeah, but I like that line a lot, and I like that combo.
Yeah, and this is the time to get sure, when you first start playing together, you're not going to be on the same page all the time. Yeah. But this is the time to be like, this is all about next year at this point. So this is all about getting them that playing time, familiarity, having them play together as much as possible until now in the end of the year.
Yep. So I'm glad we got the positive out of the way.
Yeah.
let's start getting into the negatives.
Let's move on.
Yeah. So PK Subban last Saturday, not yesterday, Saturday before, got hurt in a game against Buffalo, I believe. Kind of going into the boards, Emelin sort of came over, obviously to nobody's fault, but sort of butt-checked Subban a little bit.
Yeah.
Subban went down sort of weird, hit his neck sort of like twisted in a weird way, was on the ice, had to be taken off on a stretcher. Hasn't played a game since, has not yet skated with the team. He's been skating.
Yeah.
Hasn't skated with the team. I was in shambles emotionally that evening. I was just like,
to see that sort of thing, even to a player you don't like, but when it's Bay,
when it's Bay, you're just like,
you're rattled when you see him on the ice like that.
If I was at that game, I'm probably doing the whole like mom thing in minor hockey, and like your mom comes on the ice when you're like that. I'm like, oh my god! Like,
there's a random man on the ice of Bell Center.
Just like absolute shambles, like in tears, just like let me at him, please.
Oh man.
Anyway, all that aside, like my emotions. Obviously, and I tweeted this the other night, and I didn't frame it. I said something along the lines of, like, we obviously know the impact of losing Carey Price, but now that we've seen PK out of the lineup for a couple games, what do you think his impact is? I mean, like, losing a Norris Trophy defenseman, losing, like, your best player outside of Carey Price is going to have an impact on the team, and that's not what I was getting at. Is like, oh, well, like, I was just trying to say, like, what sort of specific things do you see on the ice that PK makes a difference on?
Yeah, and I think a couple things stand out, and that's kind of creativity, which this team lacks big
My
time.
God, that's
And when you're having like a couple of the lineups in the last week have had this top pairing be Markov Emelin at one point, Markov
Barbario.
Barbario, who I like Barbario, but you know. So you lose like to have a guy who Markov I think had like the second most minutes by a defenseman his age the other night in ever. Like to have a guy who's like Subban can play 30 minutes a game and play well. To lose that, like Markov's playing a ton of minutes, which earlier in the season we saw like
he hides so many problems on the team. He hides so many problems. Like one, like you just could have alluded to, is like those minutes.
Yeah.
Nobody else on the roster can play those minutes.
No.
Nobody
to spread those around with the defense. Excuse me, with the defense that we have right now, and it's like every game it seems like
last night was so apparent. Like Darren Dietz and Victor Bartley were so bad last night.
Yeah.
They were so bad. Like I kept turning to Chanel and I'd be like, here they are again in the offensive zone. Like Michel Therrien was trying to hide them. He put them in the offensive zone. Darren Dietz, I don't know how many times. I don't know what to call him, Dietz or Dietz.
I think it's Dietz, but I like how you switch every time. Like you can't you're like so Darren Dietz, and then you're like, so Dietz is in the offensive zone. Like who's this other player that I don't know about? Like has this like a second like emergency call up that I didn't hear about?
Bozo, like I couldn't believe. Like I was so looking forward to seeing him play in the NHL.
Yeah.
And man, is he just not ready? Like he is nowhere near ready, and neither is Bartley. Like Bartley's not an NHL player. Actually, I don't even think
Bartley is like 27 at this point.
No, he does not skate.
Yeah.
Like when he has a puck, he doesn't put his head up.
Bartley bugs me a lot.
Those two made so many bad passes. It wasn't even the amount of times the puck trickled over their stick when their pass was coming. It wasn't the fact that like 3 of the goals were their fault at a minimum. It was the fact that like their first pass was so poor and they hesitated so much to make it. That those are some things that like Subban brings to the table where like his first pass is so sound. He slows down the game so much. Their breakout is like he makes the biggest difference on all facets of the ice. And I think one thing that people don't realize when Subban, I mean he obviously like leading the team in points, he does his fair share of helping offensively. But I think the biggest thing that some people miss is like his ability to drive the play offensively.
Absolutely.
And like the line that typically has PK Subban, the line that typically spends the most time with PK Subban, which is where Desharnais's been hidden for years, is playing the bulk of his minutes with PK Subban, is that the puck exits the zone a hell of a lot quicker. It's a lot smoother transition through the neutral zone, and then you're back on the offense. That's what works when PK's on the ice.
I really think his confidence is infectious as well. It's the same sort of thing where you lose a guy like Price, your team's confidence will go down a bit. And I think the same impact happens when you lose a guy like Subban. Even though, like, obviously, like, the mistakes happen every once in a while. Cool. But like we've said before, it's kind of like we're a broken record. We can swallow those. But now he has the confidence to make those good plays. And like you were talking about Bartley and Dietz or whoever his name is, hesitating and all that, and just like that compounds, and every single time they screw up, it gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah,
and they're on the ice for too often because they have to be.
That's right. So anyway, that's the conversation looking to have on Twitter. So thanks for having it with me, because I got chirped by a ton of people who are just like, "Why are you even asking that question?"
It's kind of weird because I don't think of the internet as being a place where people jump to conclusions or offer immature hot takes or anything like that.
It really
is odd.
Yeah.
Normally Twitter is quite even keeled and balanced discussions. And
I think people just hate me.
That could be it too.
Yeah.
That could be it. Yeah. Mystery solved. But kind of just to follow up on PK missing out from the Habs, one other thing I was looking forward to with the like, I guess this is like silver lining sort of thing with the Habs missing the playoffs. I hope to see Subban at the World Championships.
And he better be.
And just be there and have a heck of a tournament, and just like management guys be like, okay, yes, no, this guy definitely.
But this is the way it's going. Like, if they keep taking the guys that they're, man, I don't even want to get into it. But if they keep taking the 6D that they had in Sochi,
yeah,
literally Subban is not playing for Team Canada. He'll be that 7th defenseman role for the bulk of his career.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Literally,
until a guy like
Shea Weber, maybe
Shea Weber retires, but I don't know. I'm with you, man.
But that's it.
Yeah. No, I know. It's
rest
crazy.
of them around for at least another Olympics.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Agree.
Anyway.
All right. Well, more positivity. DSP has been playing great lately. Unfortunately, it's with the New Jersey Devils.
Yep.
Since being traded in 8 games, he has 6 goals, 3 assists for 9 points. In his last 5 games, he's got 4 goals and a couple assists. Everyone is freaking out, saying,
another
classic
example.
Therrien.
Yeah.
And I'm a huge Therrien hater, as everyone knows. Friend of the show, Michel Therrien. But I'm not blaming Therrien for this one. Here's the thing. At least, like, for my eye test when we were watching DSP play for the Habs, he never really did anything for me. Just overall, physical guy, that's pretty much what he brought to the table. Mm-hmm. Didn't like much of his game. He didn't play a lot. Did
you see enough in the 8 minutes he played a game? Or?
That's fair. There's not a lot of ice time, for sure. But I don't know. He was never really productive in Montreal. It was never really productive in Anaheim before that. Here's an interesting thing about his productivity in New Jersey. While it's been obviously great, he's got like a 37.5% shooting percentage right now.
Yeah, going into Saturday, I think it was like over 40.
It's not sustainable. Like, let's be real.
It's not.
This is an 8-game blip, and he's having the hottest 8 games of his life. Cool. Yep. It's way too small of a sample size to have any sort of conclusions from. And he's playing a bit more. Like, he's playing, I guess, second line minutes. I don't know if he's getting much power play time, but
I think he's playing
kind
of
hovering between.
Dude, he's averaging like 16 minutes again.
Yeah, which is like cool. Like, he is getting more opportunities, but he's not going to keep up the current pace. Like, it's just not going to happen unless he's about to become the most prolific goal scorer of all time.
I agree with you. I really rooted for Devontae Smith-Pelly heading into this year with him losing all that weight. Mm-hmm. I agree with your assessment. Like, the eye test never did it for me. His shooting percentage is stupid high in New Jersey. Yep. It's not sustainable. It's not going to continue. People need to calm down. Yeah. Like, substantially, people need to calm down. But what I will say is that if Devontae Smith-Pelly really enjoyed his time here, and the other guys liked him, like it seems to be, like they were asking a bunch of players about Devontae Smith-Pelly and how they felt about him doing so well, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we wish him the best. Like we loved having him here, all this kind of stuff." And then all I can say is that Stéphane Matteau isn't doing the eye test for me either.
No.
That's all I'll say. And I understand, like, we got the extra year on the contract and that kind of stuff. Like, I fully get it. But just based on Devontae Smith-Pelly's work, although he was inconsistent on the ice, I found, his work ethic to come into camp last year in shape, listening to the team, putting his work in to go and do that, getting along with the team, whatever it was. Like, Bergevin always talks about character, and then you trade him for this guy who, and I defended this trade because really I didn't know anything about Matteau other than he's probably a similar player. But I was like, the amount of times this guy tries to carry the puck in over the blue line with his head down instead of dumping it in and chasing it, it frustrates me so much. I can't handle that for like another year or whatever he's on contract, and him taking a spot from another young guy, which is how he's going to be used because he's Bergevin's boy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's another one of those things. Anyway, Devontae Smith-Pelly sort of came out in an interview this week and said, it's hard to improve when you're only paying 10 minutes a game, was basically alluding to the fact that he never really got a fair shot in Montreal. And I think that's sort of garbage. Like, I honestly do. Like, I'm with you. I don't think Michel Terrier is to blame for this one.
Yeah.
I don't think Devontae Smith-Pelly earned more ice time. And like you said, his shooting percentage is through the roof right now. Yeah. It's not sustainable.
And he even, like, if there was anything I disagreed with Terrier and using Smith-Pelly, is every once in a while you'd see him in, like, penalty killing roles, or, like, the odd time you'd see him on the power play. So, like, sometimes he did get these extra opportunities that, personally, I thought he didn't earn. Mm-hmm. And you said all those good things about his what the teammates had to say about him, and like I don't have a problem with him on that level, just as a pure hockey standpoint. I just think it was a trade that was made that I still don't hate it yet. I might hate it next year, but we'll see.
If Stéphane Matteau plays the way he's been playing, then I'm mad about it, I guess, a little bit. I mean, it's sort of an irrelevant trade as far as I'm concerned.
And it really depends, too, on, like, what, like you said, if he's holding a roster spot from a kid down in St. John's who might be a bit more deserving next year, then I won't be so cool with that. But it remains to be seen what happens.
Yep.
We'll see what happens.
Okay, let's move on to the next negative thing. So, TVA Renaud Lavoie was reporting last week Michel Terrier could be back behind the bench, or it's looking like he's going to be back behind the bench next season. What do you think?
So I like the way you've worded it.
He's fired up. I can tell.
Well, let me put it this way. That ruined my day. when I saw that, it like in classic Habs fan form, I saw that and just everything was the worst.
Yeah, you get really
like just nothing. It was like, oh, classic. Of course Tyrion's going to stay. Mm-hmm. And I kind of alluded to it like the night before. I had written responses to the All Habs mailbag, which you'll be doing this week. You'll be back to that. We're kind of switching week to week. And someone asked, what do you think? Someone said, I think they kind of predicted. Like, I think our friend Michel Terrien is going to be behind the bench next year. What do you think? And so I was just like, kind of, and you answered a similar question the week before. I was just like, honestly, I don't think, I 100% think he shouldn't, but because of all the excuses that can be used, he might be. And then I just kind of finished it with, having said that, if Bergevin doesn't want to fire Terrien, Jeff Molson needs to step in and either say, fire Terrien or you're both gone. And I think, I don't know, I tell myself anyways, I think that's what would happen if Bergevin wanted to keep Terrien, but after the dust kind of settled, everyone was just like, all right, like it was kind of like no decisions have been made more than anything. But honestly, like just the thought of it just upsets me.
Bergevin tried to shut down those rumors pretty quick.
Yeah.
Not that I believe anything he says really at this point.
It's all about the message. It's not necessarily any substance to what he said.
Yeah, and he basically just said, like, don't believe the rumors, don't believe whatever, which is just, I don't know, I don't believe anything that comes out of this organization's mouth at this point.
No.
I just think you can't. Terrier has done good things.
Yep.
You can even go as far to say he's done a lot of good things. If you're a Terrier fan. I am not a Terrier fan. However, I can appreciate that he's done some good things for this team. I won't get into all of them for the sake of time. What I will say is that nobody should survive this type of a slump. He has yet to bring us over the hump in the playoffs, although I know we've gotten to an Eastern Conference final, but we've yet to get to that final. We cannot afford to waste another year of prime years. Like, we can't throw another season out the window with Pacioretty, Subban, and Pricey in their prime years. Yep. We can't afford to do it, especially with the cap hit of Carey Price and Pacioretty. Like, next year is the year.
Yeah.
Like, next year is the year. And, like, now, since we didn't want to fire Terrier midway through the year to get them accustomed to some sort of a new coach, now it's going to be, like, it's got to happen early so that they come into camp with a new coach. And, like, I just hope it doesn't, like, mesh with the team or screw with the team too much. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I think it has to happen before free agency starts.
Yeah.
Because if you're a player who's wants to play a scoring role, why would you come to a Michel Therrien coached team?
Why?
Like, why would you?
Why?
Like, zero reason.
Yeah,
Zero reason to.
and guys talk in the league, right? Like they talk all the time. It's
Big
like,
time.
and players have something to do with luring free agents. And
Absolutely, any coaching decision has to happen before free agency starts. And I really honestly, Bergevin's mind should be made up already. It probably isn't, but it should be made up. And if you know what, we're probably not, unless they want Guy Boucher to be the coach of the Habs next year. There's not really any viable candidates out there to finish the year off.
Right.
So there's kind of that, but something has to be done in the off season.
Montreal will literally burn to the ground.
Yeah,
Therrien is the coach next year.
Absolutely, and I think that's where Molson comes in, because if Bergevin does actually want Therrien back, I don't think Molson will be able to stand for that, just for the PR nightmare it's going to be.
Right.
The distraction and it's going to be awful.
It was just you know what? It was such a perfect storm, eh? Like heading into this season, everybody's talking about them being a cup contender. Yeah. They've done such a good job with their image, and you even look at things like Club 1909, where they're engaging their fans and all this kind of stuff, and all this momentum, and Subban sticking around forever. Pacioretty's the captain. Galchenyuk's moving to center. They upped the ticket prices. Everybody's like, okay, I guess they're a cup contender, and then all of a sudden it's just everything goes wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything could go wrong. And that's the one thing that will save Michel Therrien. And I wrote about it in the Q&A. To me, the one thing that saves Michel Therrien is all of the injuries and the fact that everything that could go wrong went wrong.
Yep. Let's move on to expansion draft. So in the last week, the GM meetings happened, or the owners' meetings, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And they discussed expansion, what it would look like. It's not going to happen this summer. Could happen next summer.
Yep.
It'll be one or two teams.
Yep.
Most likely, a lot of people are thinking at first one, possibly only one, based on the dollar or whatever. Everyone's saying, okay, Vegas will be the first team, maybe Quebec the second team. Who knows?
Right.
So obviously, it gets interesting. Now we can talk. All right, who are the Habs going to protect? We don't know what the roster is going to look like a year from now or 2 years from now. So let's, for the sake of fun, come up with our protected list.
Okay.
For Habs players, if today or this June there's an expansion draft. So there's two options. You can do one goalie, three defensemen, and 7 forwards.
Okay.
Or you can protect 2 goalies and eight skaters of any position.
Okay.
Who's your goalie?
Mike Condon.
Oh wow! I actually had Scrivens. No, safe to say we both have Price.
Safe to say and safe to imagine.
All of the above.
Yep.
Who do you have on defense? Probably, I bet we have a very similar team.
I struggled with defense, to be honest with you. Let's be clear. Okay. Let's be clear before we get into this. Okay. That next season,
yes,
the decision gets a heck of a lot harder.
Way harder. So one thing I left out there, now that you're mentioning it, prospects. So guys who are still in junior and first and second year pros do not have to be protected. They're exempt from this. So there's a lot of players in the Habs organization who, if we did the expansion draft this June, would not need to be protected.
Such as Daniel Carr,
big one, Delarose,
Charles Hudon,
a number of good players, good young players. So it'll depend a lot on who else we still have at the time. But yeah, so that's some players that we don't need to worry about today that we will down the road.
Makes the decision a heck of a lot easier for the Habs. If
Absolutely.
It were next year, we're in a bit of trouble. But let's go through. Okay, so defense, you asked me. Subban.
Obviously.
A no-brainer.
Yeah.
Beaulieu.
Yeah.
For me. And it's the last one that I really struggle with. And I feel like Jeff Petrie is the easy answer. I had a really hard time leaving Barberio off the list. I don't, and let me be clear, I don't think Barberio is a top pairing defenseman. But I also don't think that Jeff Petrie is a top pairing defenseman. I think Jeff Petrie does a good job at driving offense, much like Barberio does. Barberio struggles in the defensive zone a heck of a lot more, I think, than Petrie does at this point. However, I don't know. I like Petrie's cap hit.
Yeah.
Is significant, I guess.
Yeah, 5.5.
You know what I mean? I think 5.5. So just a little less than what Markov's making. And I think that to Petrie's defense, he plays a ton with Emelin.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say like just how effective he would be offensively if he wasn't playing with Emelin. But I really, really like what I've seen from Barberio thus far. Like,
so is he your third guy?
I don't know.
You still just make a decision.
I know. Okay. I'll go with. I'll go with Jeff Petrie.
Man, that's unreal. I just love how you spent that whole time defending Marc Barberio, and then you still go with
Petrie. Know, but I just don't think he's. I don't think he's the caliber of defenseman that Jeff Petrie is right now.
Agreed.
And it was hard for me because can Barberio get there? Possibly. And he's a much less, like, he's more attractive, like, cap hit wise. You know what I mean? So there's, like, more of a wiggle room for the Habs to potentially go out and fill that spot. But if they're going to, Jeff Petrie leaves far too gaping of a hole in the top four that you're going to have to spend that money in the top four anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And I have the exact same three defensemen.
Okay.
Which doesn't surprise me. I thought maybe once you started explaining that there, maybe you would have picked Barberio there. But so we have the same defenseman. As does Chris G, who did his list yesterday on Habs 360.
Yeah.
So now to forwards. I'm sure
you go first on the forwards.
All right, I'll go first on the forwards. I'm sure much of our list is the same.
Okay.
Pacioretty, Gallagher, Galchenyuk, obviously. Yep. I think everyone should have that top three. Eller, who you and I obviously both like. I mean, he would get picked up real quick in an expansion draft. And I think if we move Eller for whatever reason, it better be for a good return. But I don't want that to happen. Next up is Plekanec, who I actually hesitated with, partly because of his cap hit and his age. But at the end of the day, next year when we have some tougher decisions with some younger players, I think he's a guy that doesn't make this list. To me,
continue with your list.
Okay, I just have two more guys. Andrew Ghetto, who is on his third year of professional hockey now, so just makes it. And then the last one was hard just because there was so many kind of fourth line players or whatever to choose from, essentially. But I went with Phil Deneau. That spot, do you hate it, or did you pick the same list as me?
No, I picked him. Yeah.
Okay, so that spot, I guess if this is next year, just kind of throwing out a future, if I had to change two, I'd drop Deneau and Plekanec from this list and probably add Carr and Delarose if I had to, or maybe Carr and Hudon. I guess it would have to get into some tough decision making.
So I really I would have left Plecky off my list if it was next year. Not because I don't love Plecky. I just think from a cap perspective and the fact that we have Galchenyuk, and then we've got Eller at center, and then we've got Deneau at center. To me, I'm we have enough.
McCarron as well.
And then McCarron coming up. You know what I mean? So, but I really can see the Habs trading Lars Eller this offseason. Philip Deneau is a guy that Marc Bergevin loves and targeted big time.
Yep.
I think the organization thinks that Philip Deneau can take that third line center role.
Right.
I think they can save a bit of cap. I think they know the value of Lars Eller, and that's why they feel like they can deal him. So I actually prepped my list for 2017.
Nice.
Because clearly you and I weren't on the same page.
No. 0% on the same page.
So yeah, I had Plecky and I had Eller sort of off of that list to make room for Carr and
I see.
Delarose and stuff. But I think Andrew Ghetto, like I said, I don't think people are high enough on Andrew Ghetto quite yet. I really love what I see in Andrew Ghetto. He's small, but he's always in the corners. He's always digging pucks out. He's very smart on the cycle, and I think that's a part of his game that people are underappreciating. But yeah, we had the same list, and I think Phil Danault. Like I like what I see
Yeah.
from Danault, and I can't say the same about some of these other guys that we've gone out to pick up.
I think Deneau doesn't have the same offensive upside as Eller, and
Yeah.
I think Eller does like his specialty is defensive hockey, but like when he plays limited minutes in the top six, when he played a little bit with Pastretti, like you can see some of that offensive talent show a little bit.
Yep.
But I think from the defensive side of things, I think you probably don't lose quite as much.
That's right.
Dropping down to Deneau, it's a downgrade, but like you said, it's what you can use that money for elsewhere, maybe for a top six winger or whatever.
That's what I mean. Like if they can,
it's all about asset management, right?
That's right. So give me one forward and one D that you would snag from the Habs, given your list.
Forwards were tricky.
Yep.
Right off the bat, I'll go for D. Like the two guys that. Well, one guy is Barbario, who you struggled with. I think you'll probably pick Barbario, so I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go with Patterson. I do like Patterson a lot. And I
had him on my list.
Yeah. Okay, there you go. So Patterson is like, and another guy who just doesn't get much of a shot, like, and not even just like low minutes, but until like all the injuries happen, like he's.
But like the organization wants him to fail. It looks like it frustrates me so much. Like last night he played with Beaulieu, and they looked decent.
Yeah,
like they looked good on a night where everybody sucked.
Patterson's a good I like his mix of like he's a defensive guy, but he has a little bit of talent. Good first pass, very physical.
He has a great first pass. Like to me, he's less of like people label this guy as like a true stay-at-home defenseman, but he's not that guy. He's a smooth skater for his size.
Yeah,
his first pass is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I was like, man, he has like sure he makes mistakes, but like he's got to work through them. And playing with Emelin's not helping the guy, man. Like it's exactly.
Everyone's making mistakes this year. Let him work through it. Like
they finally put him with somebody last night who can play hockey, and they kept moving them away from each other and stuff like that throughout the night to try and hide Dietz and Dietz and whoever the hell his name is and and Bartley. You know what I mean? Anyway, let's keep moving along. Oh yeah, forward.
So I never actually named a forward there. So like my best case scenario is Desharnais gets picked up.
I don't think he gets picked up.
I don't think he gets picked up either. Maybe like a Mitchell or Alessio near the end of the draft.
I thought a Mitchell would go. Like I honestly think like for a team looking for like forward depth that they can kind of move like third, fourth line, play center, play the wing with experience and like plays every shift hard. I thought.
You know who I think might go? Because if there's one team, only one player can get picked from each team. You know who I think might go as like a second goalie for this expansion team is Mike Condon.
No,
I think so, man. Who else is going to be as like a second string goalie?
I mean, like I don't know off the top of my head, but like I don't know. I don't think Condon.
Maybe
goes.
Okay.
I gotta think there's other opportunities.
Wow, we disagreed hard on that one.
Yeah, no, I don't think I think you find another. Like as a backup, you mean, right?
Yeah, he'd be like the backup. He wouldn't be the first goalie gone.
I don't think so.
Because like, I don't think there's going to be much on the goalie market in that expansion draft. And maybe they don't pick a goalie. Maybe they don't pick a goalie and find one on free agency. But I imagine they have to pick a goalie of some sort.
I don't know. I think like at this point, I'd bring Chris Osgood out of retirement before I use.
There you go. Boom.
Anyway,
Boom.
And I like Condon.
I do like Condon.
Now I'm feeling bad.
Yeah, you should feel bad. Mike Condon is definitely I'm sure, I don't know this, but I have to imagine Mike Condon watches us every episode. And is always hoping that we bring him up or whatever. Now I brought him up finally. And you're just like a jerk. And now we might have lost Mike Condon as a viewer now. That's all I'm saying.
Down from 5 people to 4.
Yeah.
Okay, exactly. So Bob McKenzie tweeted, somebody asked him a question about Alexei Emelin.
I did.
Emelin. And he retweeted it. And he said, won't be the least bit surprised if Montreal trades Emelin when modified no-trade clause kicks in.
Right. So the other day, Bob McKenzie, who obviously, if you like hockey, he's like the guy. Like he is the guru when it comes to insider information. He was like hanging out in the airport, bored, fires off a tweet saying, if you have a question, hockey or not related, fire it off. And there were some pretty actually funny, like non-hockey related questions. If you have time, check that out. Anyway, so I asked him that question about Emlyn, and I was kind of surprised in a way because like I want us to trade Emlyn. I know you want us to trade Emlyn.
Wait. Did he tweet your question?
Yeah. Did you not notice that?
No way!
That's why I screenshotted it and sent it to you. How did you
Dude!
know? Yeah.
Yay!
That's why it was really neat.
He's Twitter famous, Mark.
Yeah, I got a whole 0 followers out of it. Man, how did you miss that?
Lescoute's Twitter fame.
Man, I know,
Dude,
right?
you and Bobby are pals.
I'm upset that he didn't start following me after, if I'm being
My
honest.
God!
How did you not? I screenshotted the tweet.
You know what? I had a crazy week.
You did have a crazy week.
I was like, LOL is pretty sure is all I wrote back to you. That
yeah,
was like
and I was kind of hurt because I was like, wow, I thought your reaction was...
Dude, that's awesome!
So yeah, it was my tweet that he retweeted to a bunch of ones, but this particular one was me. Thanks for paying attention.
Hashtag famous.
Yeah, so famous. Anyway, so I was happy to see a guy.
As if I left that out of the intro.
That's why I was confused. Like I was like, why are you leaving that out? That's when I raised my hand. I was like, it was my tweet. Like,
dude, that's a
Anyways, this is like I'm as a hockey fan in Canada, I'm a lot more excited about Bob McKenzie retweeting me than like if Bieber tweeted at me, that'd be friggin' unreal. But like celebrities in general, like don't care less. Like whatever, who cares? But like Bob McKenzie, that's the GOAT.
He must be a viewer of the show.
Hey Bob, thanks for watching.
Okay, sorry.
Anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
So I don't like Emlyn, especially as cap it.
Yeah.
He's a third pairing D, essentially making 4.1
yep.
per year for another couple of years.
Yeah.
The fact that a guy like Bob McKenzie thinks that Montreal will try to move him and he thinks that it's a possibility is awesome.
Yep.
That brings because you move Emlyn out and you put Patterson in that spot and I'm happy.
Yep.
And I had a few conversations on Twitter that day, like when he responded to it, a bunch of people kind of chimed in. Let's see, with a few things like, oh, how about Eller and Plekanec? Okay, cool. Like, let's trade both of those guys. It's like some people. One guy said, "Who will be our physical D-man?"
I hate that argument so much.
Because you literally if that's your argument, you literally see one aspect of Emlyn's game, and of all aspects, you need a guy who can do more than one thing, and especially when that one thing puts him out of position so often. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Subban hits, throws the body. Patterson can throw the body. A guy like Morgan Ellis is physical. Markov every once in a while throws a big hit. You don't need crushing hits all the time. You can have a collectively physical defensive.
How many hits did we go to throw last night? Big hits under the boards where it just completely threw our guys out of the play.
Yeah, it's just stupid. Anyways, hated that argument. One Edmonton fan actually tweeted at me and said, "Man, send him our way." I was like, "Perfect, I'm in for that." Anyways, what do you? Do you think Do you actually think he can move? I mean, Bob McKenzie thinks
they will try to move him. I just don't know what you get for him.
Yeah.
I think teams probably view his physicality. There's a lot of old school guys in hockey.
Yeah.
Some teams probably value his physicality, the fact that he's played a top 4 role since he's basically been in the NHL.
Yeah.
I think personally he's had one of the stronger years as a Montreal Canadian that he's had.
Probably.
Ever since that first year that he came in.
Yeah.
Where everybody was excited about Alexei Emlyn.
Yeah.
So I think they can move him. I'm not expecting much.
Yep.
It's more getting rid of the contract that I'm excited about.
Well, that's it.
It's the same with Desharnais. If we can clear those 2 contracts, then I think the offseason becomes a heck of a lot easier for Marc Bergevin. And I think this is and I say it every year. I've said it almost every year where this is Marc Bergevin's chance to make a mark on the team. But I think if he can rid of those 2 contracts and clear up pretty much $7.5 million on the cap, just out of those 2, I think he sets up the team for some success if he can fill those roles.
Maybe pick up an Andrew Ladd or something like that. Although depending on his price, that's a whole other discussion, I guess.
I just don't know. I just don't know. I think it's I think Andrew Ghetto moves into a top 6 role, and then I think you got, I don't know, and then I don't know. Anyway, we got a ton of bottom 6 forwards. And I'm wondering if we leave that next topic that we're going to talk about for the next epi.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Because we're going pretty long.
We're going pretty long. We're at an hour almost. So.
We're going into today being like, I don't think we have enough.
Yeah. Here we go. We just start talking. We can't stop.
That's why they call it the Habs Banter.
Yeah, we just can't stop, won't stop bantering.
I can't believe I didn't know about Bob McKenzie. I'm so sorry, man.
Man, I mean, whatever. I guess I can forgive you.
I am such a bad friend sometimes.
Only sometimes, though.
The guy throws me a surprise diaper party, and this is how I treat him.
Yeah. I just want to throw out there, since we're wrapping it up, wearing my Dallas Cowboys t-shirt right now, just kind of, this is directed kind of towards some of my All Habs teammates who, I would argue, like some questionable teams. Although I know a lot of people out there will say the Cowboys are a questionable team. Fair enough. But, Amy, the Eagles are going down this year. That's all I got to say about that. It's terrible trash talk. My trash talk game right now is terrible. Well, this is what happens when the Cowboys are so bad, when the Habs are so bad. Just no sports confidence right now.
It's never really that good.
It's
like literally you just pointed your finger at the camera. Was like, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah.
Like that was your.
Ooh.
Yeah, look out.
I'm wagging my finger aggressively.
Out. So look out. Okay, question for you: is Des Bryant still a top 5 winger?
Yeah, I think he's healthy next year, or almost healthy next year, and the I almost said the Habs. The Cowboys kill it.
Okay. Yeah. Because he's a keeper on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
And I'm doing really well at wideout. And Des Bryant, I'm like, do I wait till he has like a couple good weeks and deal?
I mean, maybe we can work out a trade after the episode.
I'm pretty sure you traded him to me.
Yeah, it was one of my many mistakes.
Yeah, that's true. Your team's terrible.
My team is
okay. We'll see you on the next episode, everybody. Thanks for listening. Subscribe on iTunes to the audio. Subscribe on YouTube to the video. Subscribe on nowhere else because you can't. But go to allhabs.net.
Check us out.
Find us out on the multimedia tab. See you in 2 weeks, homies. That might be one of our last episodes.
Yeah, it's probably our second last episode before the summer.
One of the last. We'll do a couple, you know what I mean? Around the draft and free agency.
But... Absolutely. And Mike Condon, please watch again. Even though Corey was
please,
mean.
Mikey. I love you.